Hello, welcome to the third in a progressive series of yoga videos for beginners. This series is really for new beginners or nearly new beginners. So if that's not you, this might feel really basic, but reviewing the basics is never a bad thing. If that is you, if this is what you're looking for, welcome. Go ahead, come to standing near the front of the mat. Feet a comfortable width distance apart, knees facing generally forward. Second, third toes might face forward as well. And then wiggle your toes. With your next inhale, lifting up through the toes, feel the arches of your feet waking up. And then balance out the weight between the front and the back of your feet and the inner and outer edges of the feet. If your toes will move, spread the toes apart and then keep pulling up through those arches as you lower the toes down to the ground. Pressing the toes into the ground, but still pulling up through those arches. And then hips back over the heels, so you might notice more weight in the back of your feet than the front. Now, that's fine. Shoulders over the hips, ears over the shoulders. If it feels like you're going to fall over backwards, either just adjust. So if anything I say doesn't work for you, don't listen to it. Listen to your own body. You can adjust and play. Or with the hips still back, just actively press to the front of the feet. You do want to be careful of hips tucking under or tilting forward. So that's what we're trying to move away from some. Thighs back, tailbone extending, weight back. Here, hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Keep feeling that connection from the hips into the earth and come into your breath. So feel the air on the nostrils and feel your lungs moving with the breath. Feel the breath as a whole body experience. So feel the rib cage move, feel the skin move. Feel how the breath fills through your throat, how the breath fills in the nostrils. Maybe listen to your breath. Notice how many senses you can bring into awareness of your breath. And letting yourself connect to the rhythm of the breath. We'll start with the universal sound of Om. So if you'd like to join in, you can exhale, inhale, coming back into that deep connection to the breath, feeling the rhythm of the breath move you. And then exhale, release the hands. Inhale, arms come wide, reach up high. Exhale, arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide and reach up high. Exhale, the arms to the side. Inhale, arms come wide, reach high. Left hand can grab right wrist. Exhale, leaning to the left. Again, if holding on to the wrist doesn't work for you, you don't have to. You can modify. Breathe. And then inhale up to center. Exhale, left hand or right hand, left wrist, lean. Breathing here. Just lining the head and the neck up with the rest of the spine. And then inhale, come back up to center. Exhale, release the hands to the side. Knees as wide apart as the feet. Inhale, bend your knees. Act like you're sitting in a chair. Exhale, hands to your knees. Inhale, stretch the spine long with a long spine. Exhale, slide the hands down. Inhale, slide the hands back up. Try not to let the back round. Exhale, slide the hands down. So if you notice your back is being pulled into rounded, inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands down. Don't go quite so far. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands down. Now with the hands down, spine still extended. So again, if your back is rounding, you've gone too far. Inhale, try to lift the hips up. And again, trying to keep the spine extending instead of letting the back round. Exhale and lower the hips down. Inhale, try to lift the back of the hips up a little bit more, just seeing how that feels for you. Exhale and lower them down. Inhale, maybe lifting the back of the hips up a little bit higher. Holding here, your spine still extended for the moment, but then with the next exhale, gently let the back round and see how that feels for you. If you have disc issues in the back, or if this causes pain, then you'll ignore the rounding back positions altogether and stay always with more extended spine. But if it feels good, exhale and round. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and round. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and round. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and hold. And then with that long spine, come all the way up. Exhale, connect from the hips into the earth. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, extending the spine. Exhale, slide hands down. Inhale, hips high. Exhale, gently rounding. Inhale, extending. Exhale and hold. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, connect from the hips into the earth. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, hands down. Inhale and extend. Exhale, slide the hands down. Inhale, hips lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, extend. Exhale and hold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, connect down through the hips. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, little bend in the knees. Shoot the hips back. This is going to take multiple breaths. So keep stretching the spine long. Stretch the spine out of the hips. Your hands can be on the legs or they can float forward. And again, noticing when your back wants to round. And stopping before that point, breathing here. And then if it does feel good for your back, you can gently and evenly let it round. Hands to legs or to the floor. But not letting yourself being pulled into a strong rounded back. Breathe here. You can bend the knees more if that feels better for you. That's always, always, always fine. And then again, coming to an extended spine, hands float up or hands on the legs. Hold here. And then all the way up to standing. Breathe. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Exhale, release the hands. Open the legs nice and wide apart. Playing again with maybe legs opening as wide apart as works for you. So really feeling that hug in with the hips over the back of the feet, shoulders over the hips, ears over the shoulders, and rib cage engaged. Not so much that the hips tuck under, but so your low back feels nice and supported. Hands can open to a T and hug in to the shoulders, breathing here. And then from here, bring your hands to your hips. Turn the left toes in some and right toes out. Legs fairly straight. Hands back to a T. And see how it feels to just lean into that right hip some. So leaning into that right hip. Be careful you're not locking either knee joints, knees soft. If you do need to bend the knees a little bit more to lean into that hip, that's fine. Press down to the inner edge of the feet as much as the outer. And then inhale all the way back up. Release the hands. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out. Legs fairly straight. Left knee spins towards second or third toe. Hands into a T. Lean with the legs fairly straight into that left hip. Breathing here. Notice what this feels like for you. And then go ahead and come back up. Release the hands. Come back to the first side. Left toes turn in, right toes turn out. Legs fairly straight. Remember the whole time rib cage is staying engaged. Hands to a T. Lean into that right hip. Then slowly and carefully, keeping the right knee pointing towards the second or third toe, we're going to bend that right knee and just notice how that feels in the hips, if that changes how that feels for you in the hips. Right elbow to the right leg, Parsvottanasana. Left hand to the thigh, gently pressing both legs back, maybe leaning inside the legs, stretching the spine long. Be careful not to lock that left knee. If it works for you, lean the torso back, roll the shoulders onto the back, breathing here. You can stay here, or with the shoulders on the back, you can swing the left arm up towards the left ear, but only going to where works for you. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. And then press down to the feet, rise up through the torso, hands into a T. Go ahead and release, soften the left knee. So a quick run through, warrior two. Right toes turn in, left toes turn out, second side, legs fairly straight, hands to a T, leaning into that left hip. Breathing here. And then slowly moving with awareness, left knee bends, points towards second and third toe. Slowly bend that knee. Notice how bending the knee might change the stretch through the hips. Left forearm on the left leg. Shoulders onto the back, chest opening a bit here, but not so much that the ribcage starts to jut out. You might have noticed I tried to do that in my body. Ribcage stays engaged, and then swinging the right arm by the ear, only as much as feels good for you. Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. Connect to your breath, listen to your breath, feel the breath move you. And then keeping your legs in this general position, rise up, warrior two. Go ahead and straighten that left leg. Hands to your hips. One more time, first side. Left toes turn in, right toes turn out. Legs fairly straight, hands into a T, leaning into that right hip. Now stay leaning into the right hip. Act like you're gonna reach for the ground way in front of the toes for a moment. Feel the underside of your body long, and then maybe bring the hand to your leg. Now, if you notice you're doing a side body arch, this is actually okay to do too, but just notice what you're doing. If you're extending underneath the side waistline or if you're arching through the spine, and maybe go back and forth between, not in one session, but through sessions between those two actions. Then from here, left arm stretches out of the shoulder socket. So the thing you want to watch here is that your shoulders aren't hunching forward, aren't rounding forward, that you're not popping the shoulders forward, but instead find expansion through the front of the chest and gently hug the shoulders towards each other on the back. Breathe. Inhale, rising up. Second side, right toes turn in, left toes turn out, legs fairly straight, leaning into that left hip. Maybe at first reaching for the ground out in front of you to keep the underside long for today. Then take the left arm, just resting it. Right arm, another option is to bring the right arm parallel to the ground and to move that right arm bone deeper into the shoulder socket. Then turn the chest up towards the sky, only as much as feels good for you. Core is nice and engaged. And then let the right hand trail the chest. So it's always the chest that's turning the most. Take a moment, fill your head and neck in this position, and just come into a place where the head and neck feels like it's lining up with the rest of the spine. From there, you can turn the head to look down or up or face toward the side, but really first making sure the head and neck feel like they're in pretty much alignment with the rest of the spine. Breathe in Trikonasana, triangle pose. And then coming back up. All 10 toes facing forward, knees soft, hips move back. Start to fold forward, trying to stretch the spine nice and long. Maybe hands to the ground, way far out in front of you. Maybe hands to your own legs. Breathing here with an extended spine. If your hands are on the ground with the knees bent, you can shift more weight into the back of your feet and stretch the hips up. This is a cross between a downward facing dog and a wide leg forward fold. Feel free to stay here or balance out the weight between the front and the back of the feet. And remember, with the spine still pretty long, first let's lift the hips up higher if you want to straighten the legs. And then wherever you're at, if you want to gently let the back round, and that's usually better with a little bend in the knees to protect the low back, but you can explore and play. Fold in. And then inhale, back to an extended spine. Hands might float up. Exhale, hands to your hips. Inhale, all the way up. Soften through the knees, heel toe, the feet in towards each other. Shake out the legs and come to standing, facing the front of the mat. Knees facing forward, hips over the back of your feet, shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders. Lift up through the arches, but connect back down to the hips to the earth. Hands together in front of the heart, shoulders together on the back. Feel your breath moving you.